Well. Thank you so very much for joining the live Signatures Radio. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I don't know where it is that you're tuned on to the show, but thank you so very much. It's a daily show: purpose, productivity, and resilience, and the three topics that we normally cover every single day. And in between, we cover some things that are related to those three. And right now, we are in the middle of a series. We're talking about self-deficiency. Very interesting. We're saying that self-deficiency is one of the biggest. I don't think there is a bigger one. I don't think there is anything bigger an enemy to our progress than self-deficiency. And of course, all things being constant. It is an insidious force, and we've got to learn how to deal with it. We've already done 3 episodes onto this. Please go back. I think 3 or 4 episodes. Go back and just keep abreast with what we've been talking about so that you can be able to learn, continuing going forward. Today, let us continue talking about this. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue talking about self-deficiency, and even as we do that, I want us to start looking at the different manifestations or the different angles through which self-deficiency brings itself to the fore. There are many scenarios that millions of people in life are battling with on a daily basis as far as this is concerned. Let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen. I am not attacking anybody. This thing is insidious, which means there is no human being that is exempt from this. And I've said this very many times on this episode. There is no human being that is exempt from feeling self-deficient. And if you can come to the place where you've conquered that self-deficiency, then you've got to maintain it. It's not something that you graduate from. You've got to keep maintaining it, because it's like mountain peaks, climbing mountains. You reach a particular peak and then you look up, and then there's a bigger mountain to climb. And we normally told, I think it is Bob Marley or it's Muhammad Ali who said, it's not the mountain above that keeps us discouraged, but it's the pebble in the shoe that we are wearing. At the end of the day, the scores of people are always going to be worried about one of many things that are connected to this self-deficiency that I'm going to talk about. And at the end of the day, the scores are always against them. Always against them. As long as there is self-deficiency in you, the scores in life are always against you. You are deemed by life's biggest referee to be a failure. And you know who's the biggest referee in your life? It is you. You are insufficient. If you can ever tell yourself that you are insufficient, if you can ever convince yourself that you're insufficient, I don't care whom you married to. I don't care who is your father, even if it's the king. As long as you've convinced yourself that you are insufficient, it's over. We've got to learn how insidious this is, and we've got to start delivering ourselves from it. Now, the first manifestation that I'm going to talk about today, as far as self-deficiency is concerned, is something that you already know. Self-doubt. Self-doubt. I don't know if you've ever seen this. And this is very insidious. And of course, by the way, self-doubt has its major workings. It can be brought about by external circumstances, but it operates within, it operates inside. A child is born, starts going to school and is acing their papers and so on and so forth. They have written about this. There's a child who, she was acing her papers in the first few days, not days, few years in primary school. Top of the class, top 4. And something started happening in the home. The parents started talking about how, started comparing this child, and that's the problem. Started comparing this child with the ones that followed her. And they started calling her stupid, all manner of names. Self-doubt entered to such an extent that even when she knew the answer to something that she would be asked, she wouldn't be confident enough to say the answer because she's doubting. Self-doubt has been induced inside of her, and she's feeling like she doesn't measure up. And now, if she continues operating like this, even though she's bright, the output will be she will fail because of self-doubt. A student or a pupil will not raise her hand to answer a question even if she knew the answer, because she is doubting the externals. What will my friends think about me? What are they going to say about me? In life, one will not attempt to do anything because of the opinions of others, brought about by, guess what? Brought about by self-doubt. Self-doubt can play a significant role in self-deficiency. Like I said, it is insidious and it's available for all of us. When someone experiences self-doubt, they often question their abilities, even though the abilities are there. I tell you, they question their worth, even though the worth is there. And they consequently start questioning their decisions. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy. They feel inadequate, or a sense of not being good enough. There's a woman in the Bible called Hannah who did not have children, and she was a co-wife to another woman called Penina. And Penina would taunt this poor lady day in and day out. And then the husband Elkanah will comfort this lady Hannah and tell her, "And I'm worth to you than 1,000 sons." It didn't make a difference to Hannah because the external of not having a child was affecting her adequacy. She felt inadequate. And we know how that story ended. The only respite was when the external was sorted. Therefore, I'm saying that the externals they play a very critical part in our feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy. And we've got to, especially when we're raising children, we've got to speak into these externals and don't let them fester. The moment you see your child is feeling inadequate by something or someone or an event, that's the moment you need to swoop in and correct. Because we have adults in their 60s who have issues of self-doubt and inadequacy, and therefore self-deficiency that have festered for years. And the cure is difficult to come by. Self-doubt can create a negative cycle where a person might hold themselves back from trying new things because they just feel like they cannot pursue this goal because their fear of failure is there. They believe they will not succeed. They are afraid of failing. And this avoidance can further reinforce feelings of deficiency. As the individual may compare themselves to others who appear more successful than the others, the cycle continues. And additionally, this self-doubt can impact one's self-esteem so much so that it leads them to a diminished sense of self-worth. It affects very many aspects of their life, especially relationships. Because in relationships there is work, there is personal growth and all that stuff, it affects them. You see how insidious this self-doubt thing is? Addressing self-doubt, therefore, becomes a top agenda of any human being, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody that they look up to you, especially if you're a parent, or you're a teacher, or you're a boss or a manager. Maybe by extension, a husband, I don't know. That's a different case altogether. Addressing self-doubt is something that we need to put on the top agenda of our lives, because this thing kills. It's an insidious thing. It kills people. It kills potential. It erodes people. It causes self-deficiency. So addressing self-doubt involves challenging, direct challenge. You've got to find a way of challenging. Sometimes we need to challenge ourselves with the truth. You need to challenge yourself with the truth. Lawrence, you're better than this. Why are you doing this to yourself? You're better than this. You gotta keep speaking to yourself and calling yourself out. And in those people who are looking down on themselves and you have authority over their lives, you've got to start calling them out and calling their greatness out. Challenging these negative thoughts and building their self-confidence and developing a more realistic and compassionate view of themselves from the onset. In some cases, ladies and gentlemen, we will need to go for therapy. This thing is bad. It is bad. You are not stupid. You just have self-doubt. You are not daft. You're just doubting yourself. In some cases, we will need to go to a counselor, really. Professional psychologists or psychiatrists, whatever it is, whatever they call those people, we will need to be it's a disease. I can even say that. The impact of self-doubt on our feelings, of self-deficiency, cannot be underestimated. It is an insidious thing that needs to be arrested as soon as yesterday. If you see a loved one who is feeling deficient, having feelings of self-doubt, you got to have some kind of wisdom in helping them overcome this. Because let me tell you, there is nothing as glorious as a human being who is full of their own glory, not pride, but their own glory, having overcome self-doubt and self-deficiency. It is a beautiful sight to behold. It is a beautiful place to be yourself as a human being who has overcome your self-doubt. It is a beautiful place to be, to see a spouse, a friend, a follower, a disciple who has overcome self-doubt. It's beautiful, it's cute. But this thing keeps wasting away potential. It keeps wasting away people's abilities, keeps wasting away people's lives. So we got to hold it accountable, if you so will. We've got to address it as soon as we can. Tomorrow we will talk about its cousin as we continue talking about self-deficiency. But until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.